Okay, guys, we're live, School of Fish, with the 2023 class of summer associates, Elissa and Maisie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
This is the second edition of the Summer Associate School of Fish session, and it would be great, maybe, Alyssa, if you could start just by introducing yourself and where you're from, where you go to school, and Maisie, you could follow, and then we'll dive into some questions.
Yeah. So I'm Alyssa. I'm going to be a junior at Williams College. It's crazy to me. I'm halfway through at this point. I'm majoring in economics. I say minoring in studio art, even though it's unofficial, because I will be studying that too. And I'm from Larchmont, New York, so not too far from the city. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Maisie Rochat. I go to Middlebury College in Vermont. I'm going into my sophomore year. Major is undeclared yet, but I am thinking either psychology or economics. And I'm also not too far from the city, so this internship was kind of perfect for both me and Alyssa.
Right. And the funny thing, and we were talking about this the other day, is we really kind of posted the internship on the website Handshake and got candidates from all over the country. And we went through an interview process. And it just is kind of coincidental that the two candidates that rose to the top were both from Westchester, where I'm originally from. And it was you guys also that we ended up going with two summer associates. And I think that was just a really nice outcome, that it was, two people, you guys had each other, you could learn from each other. But with two questions. One is, and maybe you guys could answer it, each of you answer this, but what drew you to the Bizydev job posting, and kind of what were your expectations coming into the summer? And Maisie, we'll reverse the order here. I'll let you lead.
Okay, sure. I think one thing that really I was like, I need to learn that skill was the posting kind of said, I think something along the lines of like hands-on and like very like social, like you're going to be talking to people and like directly, basically like in meetings and stuff like that. And I think, John, you explained that to me when we first talked. And I think that's a skill that a lot of college and high school kids neglect to learn, in the way that it's like all like, oh, write this paper or take this test, but we don't directly learn like what it means to be social in a way that's like how to go into a meeting and like make a deal or talk about something. And I think that's also, might be another question, but goes into something I learned a lot, was like how to casually, but in a business setting, talk to someone. And I think that was a very crucial thing that I was like, I really want to learn that. And I think I successfully did.
Yeah. For me, I remember, I think I talked about this in my interview too. I remember in the description, it said like Jack of all trades, or you said Jack or Jill of all trades. And that really caught my eye, because I honestly didn't know much about what Bizydev did before the summer. And I tried to find out beforehand and sort of had a grasp, but really learned that throughout the summer. But on campus, I like to have my hand in a lot of different things. So that just seemed like the right fit for me to, have a variety of things to do. And that's how the summer really turned out. We had so many different things that we did, from video editing to, creating presentations and case studies. So yeah, it just seemed like a good fit in that way.
And we all know this, and you guys have been immersed in my world this summer, just what business development means, and just educating people on how it could be applied to their business. So listen, maybe touch on, kind of to put you on the spot here, if I said to you, what is business development? It's a little bit harder for you because I'm starting with you, but what is business development? How would you explain that to somebody?
Yeah. I mean, I know you don't like this, but I would say it's sort of similar to consulting, and there are many differences, but I see it as helping businesses, grow and expand, but we do it in a very real way. Like, we, speak directly with the partners that we see fit, and really are there along every step of the way until the deal happens. And yeah, I don't know. I just see it in that way, and helping with growth, and we're there along the way.
Um, Wait, should I add on? Right? Okay.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Alyssa, 100%. And to add on, I feel like, John, this is something you've kind of like listed a lot. Like, there's so many different aspects, but I think what sets Bizydev apart is kind of like our personal relationship to each company we work with. Like, I've seen it throughout the summer. Like, you meet with this person and you truly care about them. We want them to grow. We want to find partners. And it's like about finding like it's customer acquisition, and then it's finding new partners, 30 partners a month or whatever it is. And it's truly like starting it and then also bringing things to the finish line, which is so important. And watching them grow is so cool to see, watching them gain new partners that you feel like you found or something like that. And I think that's a big aspect of it.
Great answers. I'm proud of hearing you guys explain those answers. We should have started the summer off before you started with what do you think about Bizydev 2 or 3 months ago versus now. That's always exciting. And Maisie, maybe touch on some of the responsibilities and projects, the type of projects you took on this summer, because part of doing these sessions, at the end of the summer associate experience is one, it's always great to memorialize what actually happened, right? We'll all look back. I'll look back. You guys will. Maybe I hope you guys will go run big companies or boutique companies and change the world. This will just be a great marker in your own career journey that someone like me never had when I was interning. So Maisie, just maybe touch on some of the types of things. You don't have to go into too much client specific detail, but just broad strokes that you were involved in this summer.
Yeah, sure. I think when Alyssa talked about jack of all trades, she really hit the nail on the head, like going from video editing to whatever. And I feel like that was how I feel, like what I got done. I think that part of it was the creative side and the background side. For example, working on the website, how to make that better, or working on the logo or whatnot, something like creative design type of thing. But then there's also more business side of it where it's meeting with the specific clients we were assigned and researching different venture capitals or startups that could help the companies we're working with, emailing them, creating emails, working with AI, which is, I think, a big part of this. It's figuring out, oh, this can really help with this, and something I never realized before, like this website can give you ideas for whatever. And so I think that is kind of touching on the different, like in front of the scenes and behind the scenes kind of thing that we did.
Alyssa?
Yeah, I mean, Maisie explained it really well. Like, we just had so many different projects, from creative work to the hands-on stuff we were both talking about, meeting directly with clients. Like, one of our clients, we met weekly, and I really felt like they valued my opinion and the work we were doing. And I really appreciated that, because I don't know many interns that have that experience working directly with clients. And yeah, it was just everything from research to writing newsletters, writing emails, and just voicing our opinions on certain things too.
Yeah, and I think giving a voice to an associate is so important because, we live in a world where opinions matter, voices can be heard loud and clear, social media. And it's, for the older generation, their knee-jerk reaction probably in general is this: I'm doing this person a favor by giving them a spot in my company. I'm checking a box. I'm maybe satisfying a personal relationship I have to have their son or daughter work with me, whatever it is. I've always viewed, how do I give back to people that work with us or work with me? Because when I was in your position, I worked in, interesting companies. It just, the work we were doing was not rewarding at all. And I felt the opposite of the experience that I've always wanted to provide for interns. And I try my best to express it going in. Every summer's different. In my real estate career, there was always maybe a deal we were working on. We were buying a building, selling a building. The market was doing something. This summer, you don't know which clients you're gonna need to do the most work with, or what new projects are gonna come on. So you could never go into something, particularly what we do, with a preset, determined, this is what's gonna happen. It's a kind of a learning process, as much for you guys as it is for me. What was nice, and maybe you guys could also talk about, is the last few summers we've lived in a mostly remote world in terms of work environments and leadership with summer associates. This summer, I think, was the first time that it just felt like it was a no-brainer that if there was a way to be in person, that would matter. We took an approach that we work and an all access, give you guys flexibility. You could a little bit of hybrid. If you come to the city, talk to me about the first day when I told you about what WeWork is, and I'm sure you didn't even really understand fully what it was, and just working in an office in a hybrid environment. Alyssa, maybe you could start there, just what that was like.
Yeah, I mean, I liked going into something new that first day. You know, I had never worked in the city. I've only ever gone in, you know, for fun or to travel or whatever. So going in my, you know, business casual outfit, trying to figure out how to get upstairs for the first time was just fun and a great learning experience in itself. And then we got inside and I don't know, I liked the atmosphere. It was very fun and modern. Um, but I think I was overwhelmed thinking like, well, how often are we going to move around? Are we going to have one location? How's that going to work out? And I liked that we ended up going to the one office pretty frequently. But yeah, I don't know. I liked the flexibility as well with it all.
Yeah. I feel like initially I was very intimidated because, as I've told you too, I'm not a city person myself. And so I don't really come into the city if I don't have to. And so going in, I was like, how do I get there? Like planning my route ahead, looking at the train times. I'm like, oh my God, do I have to take the subway? Because that's not my strong suit. But I will say that I learned how to use and navigate a lot better, which is something I'm very proud of. But I think when I first got there, I was nervous. And then I remember Alyssa being like, are you Maisie? And I was like,
Gosh,
yes.
yeah.
And so that was calmed my nerves because having someone my age, similar to me where we live, was so nice and we could just help each other out. And I think we were really a good team in the way that like, if I was struggling with something, I could be like, Alyssa, like, can you help me with this? I don't really know like what angle I should go in with. And she would always be so happy to help. And then the offices, I was just so excited because I was like, oh, I have also never worked in the city. And so it was exciting to go in and feel like I had a place to go and work and see other people. And the WeWorks, I think, are awesome because it's just so many different people emerged in one space. And it's like, oh, this person's working in fashion, this person's working in finance. And it's so interesting to see all these worlds colliding. So I think that it was a lot of fun to do that.
Well said. And when you went into this summer, some of the descriptions I would use in terms of expectations from the Bizydev side were, learning through the years of what makes a good summer associate and what we need at this moment in time. I said things like being resourceful, being proactive, having a positive attitude. I think those translate whether it's working with us or you work in another company or maybe perspective that you could give to other associates for future summers. So talk to me about that, the mindset I tried to instill in you guys. And is that something that came naturally to you? Was it something that you thought about as like, I remember John saying that? Touch on those type of points if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I can start. I think that when we first met, you kind of, like you said, gave us like, oh, you should do these things, these things, these things. And I think at first I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to really like put my all into this. Like I need to be ready to walk the extra mile to research, whatever, because John does so much. Like it's important that we're always kind of on top of it. And so I think that it was important to, I don't know, get in the mindset might be the wrong way to put it, but it was really important to kind of be ready for anything in the sense that it's like, oh, today we're going to be picking all these different companies that we're going to be working with and tomorrow we're going to be working on the newsletter and you have to be ready for that. Like it's not just going in kind of doing the same thing every day, which I kind of liked because I think I would have found that not very exciting. But this kind of was like, John is like, we got to go meet this new person or whatever. And I think that that's kind of a skill I developed in the sense that coming from college, high school, I'm very used to a set routine. Wake up 8:30, get breakfast, go to class, do your homework, do exactly what you're told. And I think with Bizydev, it was kind of more half and half, where it's, oh, work on this, but then also use your creative juices to interpret what you want to do and kind of give your own opinion. So at first I was like, I don't really know. I'm nervous to express how I really feel. And I think that's something that's so crucial, where I kind of developed the sense of being like, I know this is what I like, and I think I'm going to go with this. And that's important to have that confidence going forward. And I think that's something I really gained.
Yeah, I think that was really well said. And like Maisie pointed out, I was very used to routine at school, from what classes I would go to and, a normal pattern and when I would do my work. So I didn't know what to expect coming into this in terms of structure, how it would be set up. And yeah, I agree that it was like some things were set and, um, planned out with let's work on this today, let's do this. But a lot of it was just figuring out, okay, what am I going to do today? And then getting it done. And taking initiative was a very big part of every day. And I feel like you, John, really helped us like get into that headspace of being self-motivated and um, having the being self-motivated.
By the way, and I think what you're by great answers, and I think what you're really characterizing, if I was summarizing it, is really you got a real taste of being entrepreneurs or working in an entrepreneurial environment, because everything you're describing is that. There are days when you have to be structured and systematic, and obviously I wake up every morning, I pick up my phone, I do some work, I read emails. I try to set my schedule and meet people and do client work. But at the end, a lot of things get in the way of that, and just adapting to new stuff, balance with old stuff. There's many, and you kind of never feel complete. When it's not structured, the day never ends. Like you could always do more. And so how do you turn it on and off and balance and work-life balance? If you guys, Alyssa, were giving perspective to another 18, 19, 20-year-old that is considering what they want to do this summer, next summer, in the fall, internship wise, what are some just perspectives that you would give to someone else, nothing to do with Bizydev, about what maybe they should be thinking about to either take advantage of an opportunity or make the most of an experience?
Yeah. I mean, in my case, I still don't really know what I want to do post college. So I looked at a summer internship as, dipping my toes into business under that broad umbrella and like, what do I want to do within that? And I guess in terms of perspective, I would just say like, no matter what you end up doing, like this is business, which I think I'm interested in. The skills you take from an internship can be applied to anything. Like what we were just talking about with your mindset and taking initiative and being self-motivated, that can apply to any field. And I think some good things to think about in an internship are just developing certain skills and trying to make the most out of the everyday and walk away with some new learning.
Yeah, one thing that you said that stuck out to me, Alyssa, was taking initiative. And I think that's something that if I were to talk to my like before summer self, I would say that that's really important in this, not only in Bizydev sense, but also just in the business world. I think the only way you're ever going to get anywhere or anything is if you go out, you want it, and you take it for yourself, or you do something and you really push for it. Like nothing's ever going to come to you. You need to have the skills to email someone, be like, hey, would you be willing to do whatever? Or is this partnership possible? Sending emails, making phone calls, even though it can be a little uncomfortable at first, like meeting new people. It's so important that you put yourself out there, because if you don't, you're never going to get anywhere in the business world.
And there's many things that I could highlight both of you have done this summer, but something that comes to mind is, since Maisie just elaborate on taking the initiative. yesterday we were laughing about when you started the summer, and I said, guys, it would be, since you have a Bizydev email address, you're going to be communicating with people as if you're members of the team, which you are. We're not labeling you as an intern. You're an associate at Bizydev. We kind of joke that your LinkedIn profiles, A, should exist, and B, should somewhat match each other from what you're doing this summer. And Maisie, maybe tell the world what you accomplished in terms of taking the initiative with respect to LinkedIn. Okay, because I feel like that is a great story.
Yeah, I took the get LinkedIn a little far, and so I kind of went add people crazy, and I probably added like 150 people every day. I saw someone I had mutual connections with. I was like, yes, 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 I'm going to get to 500 plus. I need to get there. Like, because I feel like I need to be taken seriously. And if you don't have the 500 plus, you're not there yet. And when John was like, you guys need to get LinkedIn, we still had just started the summer. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get LinkedIn now. And so I made this whole profile, and I'm adding so many people every day. And I finally got to 500 plus connections. And so I had achieved that goal.
We're very proud of you. I'd say prove us wrong, but show me another rising sophomore that has added as many influential people on LinkedIn as Maisie. And one day, Alyssa, this segment could be amazing when we see Maisie has 10,000 or 50,000, or she's the next. That could, by the way, that bit could be a nice promo for LinkedIn for your age group, because we know Snap and TikTok and now Threads are all
totally. Yes.
Alyssa, I'll touch on things that I'm proud of. I'm not going to leave you off there. That was just appropriate. So when before we started the internship, I either talked to you about it, I talked to other people about it, maybe I even wrote a blog post. I kind of determined that 2023 was going to be the summer of the productive intern. And to me, that meant world is opening back up. People can come back into an office. But really this rise of AI and efficiency tools that are really consumer friendly more than ever. And so ChatGPT was one of them. I viewed it as something that if you had an idea in previous summers and you had to go execute that idea, sadly, it would help if you had more business experience to be able to deliver what a company was asking. Now that you've had 2 months, you heard me make that statement, that I feel that it's not the be all end all solution. Alyssa, how do you feel about that kind of concept of 2023 being a summer of a productive intern by virtue of AI and ChatGPT like tools?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was very skeptical of using ChatGPT at first because I just hadn't played around with it much in school. It would be, in my syllabus for classes, like, don't use ChatGPT. That is against the honor code. So I think because of that, message, I was just, like I said, very skeptical of it. And then we were thrown into this summer, and you recommended using it for various things to just help with productivity. And I just think I didn't really understand at first what that could look like. But then jumping into it, it was very useful. It surprised me. And I think, like you said, it's not the be all end all, but it was very helpful as a starting point for many different things. We still would have to do the legwork of, putting the finishing touches on, personalizing messages, making sure that what it was saying actually made sense, but that it was very useful in like the brainstorming process.
Yeah, I think it's pretty outstanding how much AI can do now. I think that before the summer, I knew about ChatGPT, but I didn't know there were all these different sites for presentations, for working on websites. And I honestly didn't know the extent of what I could use ChatGPT for. And I think John was like always telling us, you guys can also put this in and do these. And we'd be like, oh, right. Because I think me and Alyssa were wired from school to never be doing that or whatever, even though it can really make things so much easier and just things that shouldn't take a lot of time, it just those things can fly by and you can be really focusing on the bigger picture when you don't have to focus on, are there any typos, or like how should I word this email? And I think that it's really cool to learn the skills of work smarter, not harder, because I feel like I can be more efficient in things that I need to, and then like not waste time on like silly little tasks.
Totally. And I feel like authenticity is something the three of us always wanted to maintain. And school is correct in making students realize that it's not just a replacement for thought. Like, part of being in school is to learn. So if you're just defaulting to learning a technology to learn what the school is set out to teach you is mismatched. And I'm on board with the school's mindset. I think the world will shift where schools say, okay, there's going to be a balance between what we want you to learn the traditional way and what we want you to learn the digital way. Just like if you look at iPads in the classroom, I'm sure when that was a technology hardware that came out, a school's like, no, 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 we have teachers. That's how we teach. We would never use an iPad to replace the homework process or writing. And, I know you guys dealt with, I'm sure in high school, remote Zoom during COVID. And is that something that we could all get behind? So it's really, I just think, a great tool to have in your arsenal and to make all of our lives easier. That's really what technology does. The goal is to make your life a little bit more enjoyable, give you more time to do other things, to maybe take a step back and think and let the tool do some stuff for you. So maybe we could just, besides GPT, guys, if you have, each of you, I'll let you weigh in. Maisie, one other AI tool that you use this summer that you would recommend?
Okay. Gamma AI, is that the name of it? It's the website that you can put information in, and it says, do you want to create a presentation, a website, or is the other thing case study, something like that? And you put in maybe 30 words, you press enter, and it comes up with maybe 4 pages of different layouts for a possible website. And it kind of hits the nail on the head where it's like, this information is kind of correct. And I wonder how I got it. I'll put a website in, and I think it goes to that website and gets information from it and puts it into this presentation. And I think it's the coolest thing, because then it gets your creative juices flowing. And I'm like, oh, I like that. I'll use that layout idea. And I just want to put in the correct information and alter what it looks like little, maybe put in my own photos. But this layout just gave me an idea. And now I'm like halfway to the finish line, and I just have to take it that other half. So I really like that one.
Mm-hmm. And that one was so great too, because it would automatically change the size of your text box based on what you were writing. So you never had to adjust anything like that. Another one that I used was for video editing for School of Fish, for making the highlights to post to YouTube Shorts. It was this AI software called Veed. I think the website was like veed.io. I would use that to auto-generate subtitles. So that just was mind-boggling how quickly it did that, because before AI, like, people must have had to just sit and type out every single word and make sure it lined up with the audio, make sure it was all in sync. And this software just did it for you. And yeah, of course, I would have to go in and make sure all the words were correct and that the punctuation was right. But it really synced it up for me. So I never had to worry about, is what saying matching up with the right timestamp? And it was really, really useful in that sense.
So we've got gamma.io and Veed, V-E-E-D. I agree with you. Those were great tools. I'm happy you found them, or that we found them together, and you could use them. So we're going to just do a quick switch here. Alyssa, since you're in charge of video editing, hopefully you'll be able to shorten this or cut it in a way that the world likes, using Veed or not. So this is the lightning round section of School of Fish. We're going to do a mix here of both business, professional oriented questions, and some fun personal ones. So we're going to do A couple that I'm going to say, but why don't both of you answer quickly, back and forth? Once you say an answer, Alyssa or Maisie, then the other one jump in with your answer. And then others, I may just be a little bit more pointed, or we'll do a round robin. All right. So Maisie, we'll start with you here.
Okay.
Remote, hybrid, or in office?
Hybrid.
Hybrid, but leaning toward in office.
Okay. Networking events or one-on-one meetings, Alyssa?
Ooh, I haven't been to many networking events, so I guess I would say one-on-one meetings.
I think one-on-one meetings for me too.
Maisie, early bird or a night owl worker?
Early bird, for sure.
I think night owl. I'm not a morning person.
Alyssa, books or podcasts?
Books.
Podcasts.
All right. That's professional networking, Maisie. LinkedIn or Twitter?
You guys know my answer. LinkedIn, of course.
LinkedIn too.
All right. Now we're going to go on to maybe a little bit more business oriented. Alyssa, one word to describe your summer at Bizydev.
It's tough to think of just one word. That's really tough.
Okay, Maisie, jump in. We're going to come back.
Okay, I have two possibles. One, networking. Two, this is two words, but taking initiative. I feel like I keep coming back to that, but it's so crucial.
I know.
Come on, Alyssa, the world is waiting. One word. One word.
I think I want to say like productive and learning.
Okay. Maisie, biggest takeaway from the internship?
Maybe confidence is key for me.
I think for me, it's that business doesn't have to look the same way for everyone. Like everyone that we worked with had such a different company and way of going about what they were doing.
Alyssa, one new skill you learned at Bizydev?
Oh man, you are putting us on the spot. I think
it's okay. No rush. You're good.
No, I got this.
Yeah.
I think the self-motivation and planning out my day in terms of what to get done.
Maybe taking the subway. No, I'm just kidding. I think
good one, Maisie.
How to go about meeting different business people and how to talk to people.
Maisie, best advice you've received during your internship, whether that's from me or others, or reading?
I think when you were talking about it's very important to care about who your clients are. I think that is a really good piece of advice, because if you don't care, then you're not going to be putting your all into your work, and then it's just like, why are you even doing it? So I think that that's very important, to be all in it, like with your work, but also like emotionally, to feel like your work is very important.
Yeah, I think networking in terms of that, you were very much like, just talk to anybody. You know, you never know what relationship is going to help you down the line. And it's just interesting to hear different people's perspectives from different paths. And from that very first day, you know, someone walked into the conference room that you knew, and you introduced him to us and said, these are our summer interns. And just from day one, it was, you know, just the message of meet people. Don't be afraid to introduce yourself.
Totally. And, you know, you don't have to be an extrovert to kind of accomplish that, right? Like some people would think that because I maintain a lot of relationships and have a big network, that I'm somehow just walking up and talking to everybody, which is not my comfort zone. So I think, you know, stepping out of your comfort zone would be a kind of a summation of what I heard you guys say, which is normal when you're just getting your career started. And so now we're going to do just 2 or 3 slightly longer form, even though some of these answers were maybe a little bit longer than we thought. Alyssa, okay. Speaking of comfort zones, this is actually a good question. Tell us about a time when you had to step out of your comfort zone this summer.
I think you know what I'm gonna say. Recently, I went up to Washington Heights to help a client at a property, and I just that was a section of the city I'd never been to, and I was, kind of freaking out about like, how am I going to get there? What subways am I going to take? I've never taken that line before, and dealing with all of that, I took an Uber there. Ended up working out just fine, but that was definitely out of my comfort zone to go do something like that on my own.
I think at one point in the summer, I went to this event with one of John's really close friends slash client. And I was kind of nervous because I also had to take the subway for the very first time. And I was like, Alyssa, I don't know how to get there, whatever. And I got there perfectly fine. It was so much easier than I thought it was going to be. Um, and I had so much fun at this event, and I met so many new people. I didn't know the client very well, but I think that I was able to build a relationship with them in just one day, and I was talking to so many people, learning about what our client does, and I was kind of putting myself out there more than I normally would, and it was just such an experience that I'm very glad happened.
Well said. Okay, this is for both of you, and this is the last long form question. Maisie, if you were giving advice to next year's Bizydev summer associates, and it could be you guys, so that's not out of the running yet, we'll see, but what would your advice be to future summer associates?
Yeah. I think my advice would be to not be afraid to ask a lot of questions. Something, John, you were saying at the beginning of the summer was like, if you guys are confused about anything, like, please talk to me about it. Like, I know a lot of stuff in this area. And so at first, I think I was a little timid because I was like, oh, I should probably, like, I don't know how to do this, but I'm too nervous. But I think it's kind of like you have to get over yourself in the sense that's like, if you don't know how to do something or you're unclear, it's better to ask questions than do it wrong. And I think that it was really cool to talk to John about certain things because you know so much. And instead of like being embarrassed about not knowing something, I was actually so happy that I asked for help when I needed it because I think I learned so much through those questions. And so I think never be afraid to ask a question or two because you will always learn something.
Yeah, I think my advice would be to be open-minded because we had such a variety of work, and um, not that it didn't all make sense, because it did, but just there were days where sometimes I would wonder, like, oh, I wonder what this is going to lead to, or things like that. And I feel like no matter what it was, I ended up learning something from it. So just being very open to different projects, different types of work, going out into the field like I did, I learned something from that. So
Coordination,
yeah.
like how to make sure something's going to play out or de-risk it so that when you get there, it's going to kind of feel a little bit more comfortable.
Exactly. And also, like, standing up for myself when I got there, because I had traveled all that way. I was going to make sure I was able to complete that task that day when there was some difficulty at first with getting in touch with
It's
people.
great. And one thing we didn't talk about, which I think this interview, and we're on record, I don't think there are many other companies that the founder, CEO of a company has a podcast and is interviewing a summer associate. So we're making history here, guys. Be proud of that. We'll call it real original content. And Alyssa is going to highlight this, or Veed is going to highlight it. But when we first started, it could have been day one or the first week, definitely the first week. I said, we have this roster of clients, and instead of just, hacking it together and saying, oh, today, Alyssa, you work here, Maisie, you do this. I felt that it was appropriate to do what we described as a Bizydev client draft, in that I tried to walk you through all the stuff that we're working on and then let you guys select one by one. Alyssa, any thoughts on that? And it's just a funny story. Were you like, what the heck is going on here? Or was it kind of a fun service-oriented moment for maybe other companies to consider when they're allocating work amongst their team?
Kind of both, but I thought more so fun than anything. I was just a little nervous because I didn't, you explained what every company did, and I tried to take as many notes as possible, but I just, didn't really know what they were all doing at that point, and I was scared. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm committing now to what I'm going to work on all summer. But it ended up being really fun.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maisie?
I remember that was, I think, the first time we had met in person. John's like, okay, we're dividing up clients. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And the same as Alyssa, I was like, oh, this company does this company does this. And I remember Alyssa would pick one that I wanted, and I was like, oh my God, no, like, this is horrible. Like, this is what we're going to be doing the rest of the summer. But something that I grew to realize was that I think me and Alyssa collaborated on a lot of stuff, even though we did work individually on a lot of the different clients. But I would always be asking Alyssa, like, her take on things. And I think vice versa. So it worked out in the end, of course.
Yeah. So
Well said.
this isn't really relevant to the question, but
Yeah.
Maisie and I really leaned on each other, which I think was great. It was a very collaborative, not competitive environment, which I really appreciated.
Totally. And I think that speaks to the two of you as people, and, ironically go to schools that are in the same conference. I'm sure there's similarities in terms of for those schools to find great students like yourselves, and they kind of all working out. So kudos to both of your parents, number one, and your families, but also your high schools in Westchester and Williams and Middlebury. The future's bright. So, Maisie, what's next? Let's just we'll do like a kind of a wrap up here. What's next for you? It's, the end of July 2023. The summer's wrapping up working with us. What's next for you?
Next in life or next month or okay.
Open-ended question.
Well, next year in school, let's start there. I'm a sophomore, and I think this is kind of the year where I have to choose my path in a way, which is a little intimidating, choosing a major, choosing a minor. And I think that I've been trying, especially during freshman year, to take a variety of different classes to kind of try and see, and especially this summer too, dipping my toes in business, trying to see where my head is at with what do I want to do with the rest of my life. And so I think that this year I'm going to really have to zone in and focus on like truly what it is I want to do, which is a little intimidating, but also very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, similar to that. Like I have, declared my major at this point because I had to, but I think similar to that, I will just do a lot of reflection and thinking about what might I actually want to do. But in terms of just what's next, I'm very excited. In the spring of my junior year, I'll be in Barcelona studying abroad. So I can't wait for that.
Amazing. Jealous, right? Yeah. So I think we're going to kind of move this to the finish line here. I always, now that we're doing these kind of, we said yesterday, exit interviews. I think we got to come up with a more clever word for that. But let the record show for in the future that I think Alyssa and Maisie have done an amazing job working with us. Great people, hardworking, anything that you would want from someone that works at a company. And I hope that they continue to stay in touch with me and us and try to keep us in the loop as their lives and careers unfold. And I am confident that the future is bright for both of them. They know that they have a sounding board mentor advisor in me, and my whole network is open to them. All the clients they helped this summer are appreciative. And so I just wanted to publicly thank you for a great summer. And you guys don't have to do anything more, but it's been fun. And it's hopefully just the beginning of us collectively doing stuff together.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So that will be a wrap.
Woo!